The woman, wanting to get rid of her deaf-mute boyfriend, actually teamed up with her lover to trick him into going up the mountain. Then they turned around and left, ignoring the man's situation. At first, the man thought his girlfriend would come back soon, until it began to pour rain, and he still didn't see any sign of them returning. Only then did he realize he had been abandoned. He tried to make his way down the mountain, but slipped on the wet ground and fainted. When Anthony woke up, he found himself lying in a hospital. His girlfriend Grace apologized with a look of false grievance, claiming she did it all to motivate him to recover sooner. Grace had no idea that her boyfriend was never deaf or mute. It turned out that 3 years ago, Daisy lost her hearing and speech in a car accident. She chose to end her life, but was saved by a kind man named Ron. To protect her dignity, Ron lied and said he was also deaf and mute. Ron not only took Daisy in, but cared for her in every possible way. They fell in love while living together and promised to stay together forever. However, once Daisy recovered, their so-called forever ended. After Daisy regained her hearing and speech, she held a grand banquet to reunite with friends. Ron had planned to confess at the banquet that he was fully healthy and tell her he was actually the son of a wealthy family and finally propose to her. But at the banquet, Ron overheard Daisy belittling him to her friends, even saying she wished he would disappear because he had witnessed the 3 darkest years she never wanted to remember. What Ron thought was a beautiful life together was, to Daisy, silent and depressing years. Ron stared at Daisy in shock. He remembered the time when Daisy was deaf and mute, when she painted at a street stall and was bullied by a group of thugs, and Ron stepped in to protect her, chasing the thugs away. Back then, Daisy said she couldn't live without Ron, but now that she no longer needed him, she wished for him to disappear. Ron felt hurt and disappointed. Just then, a man suddenly ran over and hugged Daisy. Lambert was Daisy's former friend, and now they had become lovers. Lambert even asked Daisy in front of Ron to go dance with him. Even though Ron tried hard to stop it, he couldn't win Daisy back. Watching the two being sweet together, Ron decided to let go. After leaving the banquet hall, Ron called his sister Annie and said he was willing to return to the family and take over the business. In the last few days before he left, Ron overheard Daisy murmuring that her family wanted her to marry Lambert, that she couldn't bear to part with Ron, but she couldn't accept having a deaf-mute husband. To have one final goodbye with Ron. The next day, Daisy took Ron and some friends on an outing, planning to abandon Ron deep in the mountains. So, under Lambert's suggestion, the 3 of them went hiking alone. Daisy tricked Ron into going up to the summit, then left him there. That's how today's tragedy happened. When Ron woke up, he was lying in the hospital. He showed no reaction to Daisy's apology, and suddenly began to speak. Daisy asked in surprise whether he had recovered. Ron replied that he had never been deaf or mute. He had only pretended for 3 years to share Daisy's pain. Daisy questioned why he couldn't pretend for a lifetime. Ron shouted that it was because he no longer loved her. Daisy stormed out of the hospital in anger. She wasn't worried about Ron leaving because he couldn't afford the expensive hospital bills. The next day, Daisy arrived with a group to pick Ron up for discharge, arrogantly demanding that Ron apologize or she wouldn't pay the medical bills. But Ron refused to apologize because his sister Annie was already